I wish I could tell you all about my grandfather. Unfortunately, he died before I was born, and so I know very little about him. I've learned more since I've come to work here at New Jersey Conference and have dug a little more into things. What I do know is that he was born in Torquay, England in 1859. He was born to a family of sea captains. And when, as a young man, he announced his decision to become a minister, his family disowned him. Eventually, he found his way to the United States. And in 1884, he was a student at a Baptist college studying to become a minister. During that period of time, he became acquainted with Seventh-day Adventists and was baptized and became a Seventh-day Adventist Church member. He spent 6 years selling books in Ohio, and eventually he was given a position as a minister. And in 1890, he began officially working as a minister of the gospel. In 1893, he and his wife went to England to hold meetings in England. While there, they worked not only in England, but also in Wales in the beginnings of the work in that country. In 1896, he returned to the States due to the poor health of his first wife. When he came back, he was waiting for a permanent assignment from the General Conference, and during that period of waiting, he went to Michigan and worked for a little while, holding some meetings there. And then the General Conference asked him to come to New Jersey, which at that time was part of the Atlantic Conference, and to work here. He became a minister here in New Jersey, was ordained, and eventually was elected a vice president of the conference here. During that period, he also served on many credentials committees, served as a delegate to General Conference sessions, pastored churches, one of which was the Burlington Seventh-day Adventist Church. He was the second pastor of that church. He worked here in New Jersey until 1905, when he was called to Newfoundland, and he worked there for quite a few years. In 1913, he received a call to go to Jamaica to serve as the editor of the paper, the British West Indies Watchman, I believe was the name of their paper. He served as editor for a number of years, and then as a pastor in Jamaica, until he retired for the second time in 1925, and then he returned to Trenton, New Jersey. My grandfather was not only a pastor, he was a musician, he was a father, he had 3 children, the youngest child of whom was my father. He was a prolific writer. Many of his articles can be found in the archives at the General Conference, in the Review and Herald, the Atlantic Union Gleaner, and the British West Indies Watchman paper. He died in 1936 and is buried here in the cemetery here in Trenton. I've learned to know more about my grandfather since I've been here, and I feel very privileged to work in the same area where my grandfather worked. In fact, he had a house not more than a mile or a mile and a half away from the conference office, and I live very close to that area too, so it makes me feel a connection with someone who I never knew. It was a great privilege for me to attend the 120th anniversary celebration of the Burlington Church, and to know that this was something that my grandfather had pastored and had been active in the early beginnings of that church. The words and the music of this hymn were written by my grandfather, Charles Henry Keslake, and it was arranged by me. The name of the hymn is Home, Sweet Home.